critical experience, and personal traits.
The next part of assessing your readiness is taking a look at the factors that relate to the perspective you'll bring to operating your business. Your business perspective comes from a combination of your critical knowledge and personal traits. And by perspective, we mean your vantage point for looking at things in your business. I'd like to go through 6 factors related to critical knowledge and personal traits of successful business owners, and I'd like you to just keep count of how many of these you have today. Now, it would be rare for someone to have all of these. The first one is, I have worked for a startup business before. Working for a startup business, you either did or you didn't, but it can give you some really good insights as to what it's going to be like to run your business. Many successful entrepreneurs tell us that they had worked for other startups, and this experience obviously would add to the perspective that they bring to their business. Now, for some, it was in a family business when they were growing up, and certainly that counts. Number 2, I've worked for a company that sells products or services like those in my planned business. If you've worked for a company that sells products or services like the ones you're going to offer, certainly that's going to give you a tremendous amount of insight that's going to help you succeed. Now, maybe you weren't the business owner, but you were right there experiencing the ups and downs and learning from the way that related business handled its challenges. Number 3, I am resilient. In business, you're going to have to deal with setbacks, and the next day, you're going to have to get up, seemingly unaffected, and push on. If the setbacks cause you lingering personal anxiety that makes it hard for you to keep moving, that's going to be a problem. If you're a football fan, you might remember how Dick Vermeil, the coach of the St. Louis Rams, retired right after winning the Super Bowl. He said he was retiring because the wins stick with me for about a day and the losses are staying with me forever. He'd lost his resiliency and he knew it was time to walk away from the game. Number 4, people tell me I'm a natural-born salesperson. If you're a natural-born salesperson, or maybe you just really enjoy selling, it's going to help you through the tough times because you'll always know you can sell your way out of a slowdown. So being a natural-born salesperson is an excellent quality to have when you're thinking about starting your own business. And number 5, I know exactly who my competitors will be, and I think I can compete with them effectively. Knowing your competitors is critical. You should go into your business with this perspective. If you're not sure who your competitors are, well, we'll give you some ways you can really improve your insights in that area later in the program. But in terms of assessing your readiness, this is something completely in your control, and it's an important factor to have checked off on your list. So again, later in the program, we'll give you some direction on how to make sure you're ready. Number 6 is sort of similar. I know who my customers will be, and I know how I will earn their business. Have you put yourself in the mindset of going out to find customers? Have you thought about who they are and how you'll approach them? Having this perspective, again, is a very important part of being ready. And we'll talk more about this later in the program as well. Okay, of these 6 perspective indicators, we'd like to see people have a minimum of 3, and 4 or 5 would be really good. Now, what if you don't have 4 or 5 or 6 of these? Are we saying that you shouldn't go in business? No, not necessarily. Let's talk about that. If you don't have the first 2, you haven't worked for a startup business or you haven't worked for a related business that sells similar products or services, well, what can you really do about that? Well, you could consider partnering with someone who brings that experience to the table or hiring someone with that experience. Resiliency. This is one that would really concern me. It really speaks to how owning a business is likely to impact you personally. So that one would be cause for concern. The sales skills. If you don't have them today, recognize their importance in helping you to succeed in your business and work to take your skills up a notch. There's a lot of ways to do that. And the last 2, as we said, knowing your customers, knowing your competitors, really that's completely in your control. And we're going to talk more about them later in the program. But we still have a little more to go on strategy 1. So let's continue.